So I'm presenting on adapting to digital change, and I've printed my script. So I was a bit stupid not to give Emma the actual presentation with the wording, so bear with me. Just before I start, just thanks to Ralph and to Audrey and Emma and his whole team. This is really a pretty special event. My name is Enda Kirwan. For those of you who don't know me, I work with Arup. I'm an associate with Arup, and I'm also the MEP BIM lead for Arup in Ireland. I've over 20 years experience. It's roughly 25 years experience now. I've worked with Arup for about 7 years, and I was with my last company for 18 years working within MEP. This year, I actually upskilled from my certification with BRE Global as a BIM Level 2 Project Information Manager. I'm now BIM Level 2, BIM to ISO 19650 Project Information Manager. So I suppose over the last number of years, I've developed a passion for sort of driving digital change within our offices and helping the teams to produce world-class data-rich models that not only meet the client's requirements but exceed their expectations. Today I'm going to, just to come back here, I've been pressing buttons. Today I'm going to be presenting on adapting to digital change, and that includes like the benefits of using BIM effectively on our projects, some common misconceptions or the issues that we face, and I suppose as an industry how we can solve those problems and overcome those problems in the future. So let's start with BIM for digital change. Why is BIM a main driver for digital change? I suppose BIM is something that we've spoken about in the construction industry now for many years. The benefits of using BIM, the advantages it will provide for all of the project stakeholders, the efficiencies it allows while adding more cost certainty, and it will the improved visual outputs which can be used for things like virtual reality and augmented reality and so on. But this presentation, I'm just going to be asking questions more about, are we really seeing all of these benefits being realized on the majority of our BIM projects to maximize the benefits of digital change? The advantages of BIM and digital construction are certainly real and attainable, but I'd like to look at some of the common reasons why some BIM projects are not as efficient as they could be, and investigate how we as an industry can change that. I'll be exploring how we can use BIM to reduce abortive work, which also reduces costs, and how using the correctly built BIM model for automation can save time and improve quality, which also reduces risk, and that leads to better cost certainty. And I suppose before I go any further, this is my experience of working on projects. Not everybody else's experience is going to be the same. So I just thought it'd be important to kind of share that. So some of the common misconceptions. BIM is a software. BIM is a 3D model. BIM is a new concept. And BIM saves time and money. So let's look at some of the BIM facts. So BIM is a software. Well, BIM is actually a process. There are lots of people that still talk about BIM and technicians exclusively, like in the old CAD draftsman days. But what Arup say building information modeling is a descriptive term for technologically advanced digital, collaborative, and information-centric processes in built environment, design, construction, and operations. This means that all project stakeholders should be involved, and this is not always the case. And that can have an impact, an overall potential on the overall potential benefits of BIM on your project. BIM is a 3D model. Well, BIM uses 3D models as tools that form part of the BIM process. These models can be used to store project information and display that information in a range of ways, including 2D drawings, schedules, 3D views, etc. BIM is a new concept. BIM has standardized existing, mature, and well-defined processes of project management. And the recently 2018 published ISO 19650, as well as its predecessor PAS 1192, have helped to progress that even further. BIM saves time and money. Well, BIM has the potential, certainly, to achieve significant savings in terms of time and money. But this is only possible if the correct BIM processes are followed and that BIM requirements are clearly defined and developed to suit the specific project and the client's needs. But BIM, can I also say, also has the potential to add significant cost if this is not followed. So what are we meant to be getting out of BIM? Well, amongst a whole lot of other benefits, and in my case, I suppose it's mainly focused around MEP, some of the benefits that we actually are meant to be getting are time savings, automation of design, better coordination, improved cost certainty, realistic visualizations, and I suppose really we're supposed to be using the BIM model as the central database, because after all, I suppose that's what Revit actually is. And we use that for producing things like our 2D sheets, our 3D models, our schedules, our equipment data sheets, visualizations, bills of quantity, and so on. But what we actually often get out of BIM is disconnected information coming from multiple sources, which may lead to inconsistency and risk of error. So although a lot of companies are embracing well-developed, efficient BIM workflows on many of their projects, there are still some projects which are not realizing the full benefits of BIM. And this can be caused by things that I'm going to cover now on the next slide. So, common problems to achieving the benefits. So I'll start with an issue that we see as quite a serious risk when delivering a BIM project. Basically, we say that there's no such thing as one BIM. It can mean many different things for many people. And it's really important to agree at project outset what BIM means to you and on your project. We often hear people talk about BIM Level 2 or BIM to ISO 19650 as if it defines the scope of the BIM model. It doesn't. It does do a great job of mapping out the processes, but it doesn't set the requirements, and that's important. We've also seen what is sometimes referred to as academic or theoretical BIM versus practical BIM. And this is where we see an appointing party asking for all the bells and whistles that BIM can possibly provide, like masses of parametric information or very high levels of graphical detail. And they do that without thinking enough about, what will they actually use the model for? Or what is the value of what they're asking? And they often don't really think about, the issues that this could cause, model sizes and how projects will run slowly and so on. But probably the most common cause of BIM inefficiencies in projects is the use of Revit for CAD and not Revit for BIM. And what I mean by that is that we have the opportunity to use Revit to create very efficient BIM processes and yield amazing outputs. But often, and for various reasons, we try to fudge parts of the traditional workflow with engineering and construction workflows into a new digital BIM workflow, and it just isn't productive. And it often results in unnecessary doubling up of work. But this is not adapting to digital change. For us, luckily, there are lots of ways that as an industry we can overcome these problems. So if we take the three issues that I just looked at there, firstly, one of the best ways of us to reduce risk on any project is to ensure that the client gets maximum value. To ensure that the client gets maximum value is to clearly define that scope of work and to write down in a clearest way as possible. This needs to happen for a BIM project as well. The appointing party should share a clear project-specific scope of works in sufficiently detailed documents, especially the EIR and the AIR, which should set out exactly what the client is expecting at each project stage. I think that avoiding any sort of generic requirements or sentences like, the model may be used for, like removing that will be a great help. BIM has provided amazing opportunities for delivering large amounts of information. But just because we can do something or we have something, it doesn't mean we should ask for everything. We need to use lean methodology to ensure that we adopt a BIM process that will benefit the project without imposing additional or unnecessary work on anyone, because it really just results in waste on time, waste in cost, and so on. Sorry. And then we look at Revit for BIM and not Revit for CAD. So anybody that was actually looking there, I've changed it around. As I said before, Revit is a database, and in order to maximize the benefits of BIM, we need to input machine-readable, structured information into the elements in the Revit models. And using parametric information instead of using traditional workflows, which use dumb text and disconnected systems, will enable design automation and parametric modeling. It does not take much longer to put the information into the correct places in your BIM model, i.e. the Revit parameters. But this will lead to huge efficiency benefits on any project. The whole concept of BIM revolves around leveraging the information which is input once into a model and can be used many times for many applications. So whether it's displaying figures and information on drawing tags, it could be calculating values in other parameters, producing schedules, and so on. But all the information, all of that comes from the same information. That's really important to know. So if we as an industry become more aligned in our approach to how we set up and deliver our projects, with more of us using effective workflows, we can improve our developments in automation and project efficiency. So let's take a look at workflows in a little more detail. So a workflow is a sequence of tasks that processes a set of data. They are the path that describe how something goes from being undone to being done, or from raw to processed. The importance of workflow mapping needs to be appreciated, as it is a key component in keeping our teams focused and aligned in how we approach our work. And really, this is the same for any big task, adventure, or project that we want to complete. If we wanted to successfully attempt a big mountain summit like this, we wouldn't just think of ploughing straight into that and hoping for the best without planning in advance. Unfortunately, that is what we're seeing a lot of on more projects. But clearly, deadline pressures do have a huge impact on this. But really, if we want to achieve a higher chance of success, then we really need to plan well in advance. The better planned our projects are, the more our teams will be aligned. And with better clarity of what our plan is, there is less risk and more chance of a really positive outcome. If we look at the example here, we can see that for any project, there are a wide number of things that must be considered to make the project or climb successful. And this is where a clear workflow map comes in. So mapping our digital workflows is something that we have been doing and developing in Arup for the past number of years. And it's something that provides so much potential, especially when the same workflow is followed globally. This has been successfully implemented in lots of industries to standardize processes, and is a great way to easily identify inconsistencies and inefficiencies. ISO 19650 has a lot of small examples of workflow maps which can describe a process in a visual way. So here you can see an example of one of our workflow maps. It's a high-level one for the overall hydronic system for heating and cooling. And we've looked at what tasks happen at different work stages, and have mapped out the plan that we follow, what the requirements are, the tools and scripts that we use to most effectively complete our deliverables. But these workflow maps can be broken down further into a more granular level for complex tasks or processes. Another really important consideration is making the best use of BIM is structuring our data. So using structured data on our projects is key for digital efficiencies. This isn't just related to Dynamo scripts and Revit tools. although that's obviously very important, we're talking about digital information here as a whole. For example, if we structure our Excel sheets in the same way, using the same standardized templates for all of our calculation sheets, then we will be able to harvest design information much easier in the future. And I'd just like to say, I wonder what we could have learned, or what we could learn, or what trends we would discover if we were able to harvest and analyze all of the information, the design information that's embedded in our previous projects. But all of that is possible, but we just need to start at the start and get the basics right. Sorry. The best time to structure your data was 10 years ago. The second best time is now. So keeping the possibilities, including future possibilities, in our minds as we set up new Excel sheets or new Revit projects with our BIM processes should help us plan for even more efficient workflows as we move forward. It's great to see some standardized guidance being developed in the industry. The draft issue of the RIAI BIM guidance pack looks really promising, and I'm sure it will help us to achieve better project outcomes by following a standard approach. The ACEI have also published some great BIM guidance, and I know that that's also being updated at the minute to align with ISO 19650, but it provides information on the industry-agreed approach to delivering BIM projects, and both of those resources can be found online to download. And they're very good. If anybody hasn't seen them, they're well worth looking at. So I thought I'd finish with a quick look at what is possible when we do engage ourselves fully in these new workflows. We can involve our clients in really captivating immersive technology experiences like virtual reality and augmented reality, as you can see. We can then take those immersive technologies and those experiences to show our clients things such as visualizing our specialist lighting designs. And that's been really helpful in Arup as well, and it gives a real wow factor to the clients actually when we bring them into a room and show them how their lighting will look. We can also produce realistic Matterport scans so that we can view something like this utility tunnel, as an example, to see exactly where everything is and how things are constructed even when we're off-site. We can use them for walking through virtual walkthroughs, and even when we're not there. They're really useful for especially hard to access areas as well. And then we'll take a look at just a few really cool high-level renders which can really help all stakeholders easily understand our designs. And that's the new Children's Hospital if anybody hasn't seen it in Dublin. And finally, I suppose the message that I want to leave with is, if we do put all of the information into our models in a structured, machine-readable way, then we can leverage that for things like the parametric modeling examples that you can see on the left, which assess thousands of design options at the click of a button. Or we can automate repetitive tasks by using Dynamo scripts like the one on the right. So I suppose, just to kind of close out here, I hope you've all gained some insight into how we as an industry can adapt to digital change and fully realize the benefits of implementing digital workflows on our projects. I'd like to thank the BIM Coordinator Summit and Ralph and all the team for allowing me to speak today, and for everybody listening. For anybody that hasn't seen us, we're actually in booth 17 as well across the way here, where we're actually demonstrating a virtual reality simulation. So feel free to drop by, and thanks everybody.